Hello everyone, welcome back to SportsKhabri, Curious Harry and Arun Foot. I'm Rahul and with me are Anava and Hiren. We thought we'd do a little bit of a Q&A today because we don't have ISL games and we have this small 2-day break. We thought we have some time, take some of your comments and answer those questions. But Indian football always seems to give, and there's almost no day that goes without sort of relevant topping cropping up to discuss. And today, yet again, we've had this interesting incident in Delhi's top tier league and of alleged match fixing, potential match fixing. I don't know what do you call it when things like this happen.
Good evening, everyone. And yeah, what do we call it? Again, these are, um, you know, uh, uh, manipulation attempts. And it looks like this manipulation attempt was actually tried in a very, very bad way. That's the thing. I think the issue here is again we have these discussions, be it on our platforms or be it discussions on social media, as if these things sort of seem to have cropped up somewhere suddenly out of nowhere. They've been happening, they are happening, and it's a problem which persists, as with many other issues and problems. And again, it seems that the new age fans seem surprised. But hey, this has been Indian football since since most probably it started, and that's a brutal reality. If you want to add to our ever-growing long list of issues and problems in Indian football, this is another one.
Yeah, absolutely. Hiren, what do you make of the incident once you saw it? I think we just lost Hiren there. But yeah, no, quite intriguing that these events happen. But how do we sort of what's the next step in these sort of cases? Is there a committee that sits over incidents like this? Does there have to be an official complaint or a report first? What is the process to deal with these kind of situations?
See, in regard to manipulation or acts of manipulation, anyone can report them. But the question is if the respective state associations or the respective, or even the AFF have the AFF has its mechanism in place. The question is that if Football Delhi or other state associations have these in place. We've discussed it here on Candid Football Conversations quite a while back with PIFA, who had issues of match manipulation, and Anjali and Nirvan Shah spoke about it at the time in regard to what happened in Maharashtra in the women's league over there, and actions haven't been taken. So the question is, the question is, what will happen when and how? So that to me is the point. And to me is, again, I go back to the basics. To me, the most important thing, the most important steps that we need to talk and discuss about is leadership, good, strong leadership, and good governance. That's the start. And also that the state associations fall in line. If the AFF gives you directives, if the AFF, gives you guidelines, are you following them? So this is the combination and the difficulty we are in at this moment, where I feel is, if we want to move forward in Indian football, that is our biggest challenge. That everyone involved, all stakeholders involved, and I mean, everyone is shouting out. But again, what are you doing to avoid either match manipulation, age fraud, uh, you know, producing better quality players? What are we doing for that? It seems to be every week we seem to have a new topic which we want to discuss on social media and say, okay, you know what, this is the problem of the week. But who is doing something against it? Who is trying to change it for the good? what's the value of these shouts outs? We can do a shout out. I can if you want, let's do a 24-hour stream on the problems of Indian football, right? We can do that. Will it change anything? No. Either the people in power need to change it, or people need to be allowed to come to power who will change those things. And those who shout the loudest ask themselves, they should ask themselves, are you doing things to rectify the problems and the issues? Simple question. And if these people are honest, huh, bad.
Yep, absolutely. Quite saddening to see what happened. Hiren, what did you make of the situation when you saw it?
I think to be honest, Indian football में जिस तरह से सारी चीजें जैसे सबने बोला कि every week there will be a new thing come up and not a good thing. That's the most sad part. So I didn't surprise and I think last year गोवा प्रीमियर लीग के ऊपर भी यहाँ पे एलिगेशन लगे थे. लास्ट ईयर आई लीग के ऊपर भी लगे थे. इस सीजन भी आई लीग के ऊपर यहाँ पे फिक्सिंग के अगर आपकी आप देखिए कि आपकी सेकंड टीयर के ऊपर अगर फिक्सिंग के एलिगेशन है देन तो यू कैन एक्सपेक्ट कि लोअर डिवीजन पे क्या ही हो रहा है. और जिस तरह से आप देखिए कि सारी चीजें हैंडल होती है. इट इज जस्ट नॉट यू कैन से कि फर्स्ट इंसिडेंट. रिसेंटली आई थिंक कुछ मंथ बैक आपको पता होगा कि कुछ यहाँ पे शायद बंगाल के जो कुछ यंगस्टर थे उसको यहाँ पे शायद एक बेंगलुरु की एकेडमी ने बुलाया था. फिर वो लेबर वाला केस था. ये सारे सिनारियो देखे. वेयर इज द एक्शन? कुछ नहीं हुआ. उसके बाद 2-3 दिन सोशल मीडिया पे हम सबने बात की कि इसके ऊपर एक्शन लेना चाहिए इस एकेडमी के ऊपर. देयर आर प्रूफ्स एवरीथिंग इज देयर बट हुआ कुछ नहीं. अभी अभी जस्ट यहाँ पे कल्याण चौबे का स्टेटमेंट आया सोशल मीडिया के ऊपर कि हमने भी वो वीडियो देखे दिल्ली प्रीमियर लीग के. हम भी उसके काफी लंबे टाइम से अभी पिछले कुछ महीने से उसको ट्रैक डाउन कर रहे हैं. बट वेयर इज द एक्शन? यू हैव ए नाउ क्लियर एविडेंस. आप देखिए कि ऐसी बात नहीं है कि आज ही यहाँ पे क्या बोलते हैं कि सरफेस हुई. दिस थिंग्स रनिंग ऑन फॉर अ लॉन्ग लॉन्ग टाइम. एंड इस सीजन भी यहाँ पे दूसरी तीसरी बार यहाँ पे क्या बोलते हैं ये चीज निकल के आ रही है. सो अगर एएफएफ अभी तक उसके ऊपर एक्शन नहीं ले रही है तो देन हमको समझ जाना चाहिए ना कि दे आर ऑल्सो सिस्टम और पार्ट ऑफ द सिस्टम की जहाँ पे वो भी प्रॉब्लम का हिस्सा है. एंड फनी थिंग टू सी कि सम ऑफ द पीपल आर इन सोशल मीडिया सेइंग दैट इसके ऊपर एक्शन लेना चाहिए जबकि ये सिस्टम बनाने में उसी का हाथ है. जो ये दिल्ली दिल्ली में जो चल रहा है उसमें ही इज वन ऑफ द मेन फैक्टर की जिसने मतलब ये सारी चीजें हुई है. एंड दे आर नाउ यू कैन से कि गिविंग एग्जाम्स. So I think that's the you can say ki the most sad thing in Indian football ki the people who are running the football is when they are not in power they are giving plan about the Indian football ki this should be done, this should be done. And when they are in power they are the you can say ki the first one to you can say ki do the corruption or whatever the things जो यहाँ पे क्या बोलते हैं कि इंडियन फुटबॉल के बेनिफिट में नहीं है. These people are keep अब मान सकते
Yeah,
हैं कि
again, just
50 पीपल का एक ग्रुप है. दे आर कीप चेंजिंग coming going and football is continuously you can say कि state where it is. Again I lose. Hello.
Yeah, I
Hiren,
think we've
yeah,
we've just
आवाज आ रही है
lost
मेरी?
Hiren. I think Hiren, you still there?
Yes.
yeah, I can hear you, but again, it's breaking over here, your voice.
ओके.
Yeah.
सो थोड़ा सा मेरा कनेक्शन का इश्यू है बट आवाज क्लियर आ रही है मेरी?
हाँ.
Yes, now.
So I think यही सारा सिनारियो है. This is the Indian football all about and that's why in last 60-70 years we didn't able to grow. These are the reasons. ये सारे जैसे सबने बोला कि अगर आप 24 घंटे भी कम पड़ जाएंगे मेरे हिसाब से कि आप नीचे से इतना ज्यादा अगर आपका सिस्टम करप्ट है तो हाउ कैन यू एक्सपेक्ट कि आप एक दिन में या फिर एक अच्छे बंदे से कुछ हो जाएगा. तो आई थिंक फ्रॉम टॉप टू बॉटम देयर आर लॉट्स ऑफ थिंग्स दैट नीड्स टू बी चेंज. अगर वो नहीं होती देन आई थिंक डेफिनेटली these things will definitely continue. So let's see. यहाँ पे कल्याण चौबे ने स्टेटमेंट तो दिया है बट आई थिंक उन्होंने इस तरह के स्टेटमेंट पहले भी सोशल मीडिया में काफी सारे दिए हैं जिसमें से कई मोस्ट ऑफ देम आर नॉट यू कैन से कि एग्जीक्यूटेड. सो आई थिंक लेट्स सी इसमें कोई यहाँ पे एक्शन होता है कुछ होता है कि नहीं.
Yep. I don't know. Coming back to this match manipulation thing, because yeah, I know you've been there. Of course, you've been through this for a long time. How has Indian football dealt with these sort of cases in the past, and how do they clamp on such kind of incidents?
Cover up.
Okay. Okay.
In most cases, um, yeah, nothing has happened. I think, when was this? Dempo won the I-League, I think 14-0 or something against Air India. Was it that? Or even earlier, there was a game in Goa which ended 65-0 or something. Don't ask me which, if I, and the other game ended, I think 64-2 or something. Or 66-0 or 64-2 or something, some very, which is close to impossible, what did the Goa Football Association do at the time? Right? So that's that. And Vignesh is saying betting companies sponsorship. See, that is a connection which people make, which is the biggest mistake of all. These betting companies are regulated. It is not the legal betting, which is an Indian problem, because India does not have legal betting streams. All the betting go into illegal streams, so to say, or you have connections and you can use these sort of surrogates. That, if you would use that, there's a lot of revenue to be made with taxes and other things, right? It is the illegal betting that is happening in the background, because these guys are regulated. It's a different thing. And to me, it's very, very clear that there has to be a will to change it. Again, this is Football Delhi is not a question, that we have been having these problems across the country for I don't know how many decades. I think, as I said, it's part of the system, and it's not a Delhi only problem. You see it. There has been reports in Maharashtra. There's been reports in Goa. In Bengal, there are reports about these kind of things, which even involve sometimes in the CFL, the big three in the past. Will East Bengal, Mohun Bagan and Mohammedan Sporting fans say something about it? No, they won't. They're happy to win things. So that's the problem, no? I think I was reading today this article about, how they were comparing fans of the Premier League and the Bundesliga, and the Bundesliga fans are unhappy about, external investment into the league, and the whole league is protesting against it. Every fan group, every fan club is coming together to do it. In England, they're saying, listen, your problem is not my problem. My problem is my problem, So that's the thing, is that when will people really jointly stand up? And that's an issue. And Sharon very well said, that is what I've been saying for years. We need a court for sports related matters.
Yeah.
The issues in wrestling is not a matter for the high courts or the Supreme Courts or even for the government. It is a matter for a purely sports court with judges with an understanding and knowledge of sports. We have seen what damage the COA has done to the AFF. This is now the end result of the government of India and the courts trying to sort out the mess and actually creating even bigger mess. Sorry to say this directly.
Yeah.
That's the end result. Because the people installed did not have a clue of how, forget football, how sports runs. I always...
I think, sir.
Yeah. Just
Sorry.
lost that.
Yeah.
Go.
Sorry. Sports is the only thing in the world which runs under one sort of system. It doesn't matter if it's democracy and autocracy or whatever political system the country has. Brazil, the courts wanted to remove the Brazilian Football Federation. FIFA said, you know what, you might be 5-time world champions, but there are rules and regulations to follow.
Yeah.
And this is the most important thing I feel for us. If football is the prime example of all of this, right? If we don't want to follow the rules and regulations, if all stakeholders have to play their role, it is now this thing is again a blame game. Oh, this guy is at fault, that guy is at fault, these owners are at fault, or these players are at fault. You all are part. We all are part of the system.
Yep.
सर ये कैसे पॉसिबल है कि जो आपका आई लीग का क्लब का ओनर है वही आपका दिल्ली एफए का प्रेसिडेंट है?
सॉरी,
ये आपका आई लीग का सॉरी आपका जो दिल्ली बेस्ड क्लब है उसका ओनर ही आपका दिल्ली एफए का प्रेसिडेंट है, ऐसे ये कैसे पॉसिबल?
Why is it not possible?
Well, how can be a club's owner?
The
You can say state representative.
Borussia Dortmund president was the chairman of the Bundesliga, and he was a vice president of the German FA. That's normal in football.
But the conflict of interest का case
How
नहीं
is it
आता
a
वहाँ पे.
conflict of interest? You're supposed to govern the game in the interest of the game, right? Again,
But
certain
उनका
things.
club.
Again, yes, your club is involved, but when you are going into a higher position, you have to look at the overall system, right? So it doesn't matter if Anuj is so they were Delhi president and president of Football Delhi. It doesn't matter, because also, it's a normal thing. The point here is also in Indian football, the state associations are only represented. The clubs are not represented. The professional teams are not represented in the AFF. Who's looking into that? Because there are states deciding the future, of Indian football, who don't even run football in their states.
वो एक अलग अलग है, बिल्कुल सही है. बट आई थिंक ये जो क्लब से अगर उनको रिप्रेजेंट भी करना है तो स्टेट ऑफिस के थ्रू ही करना है ना, ये अभी करंटली सिस्टम में, बिकॉज आई डोंट थिंक सो कि दे हैव डायरेक्ट.
No, but that's the point, right? The people who are running state associations in a lot of places, they are the representatives from the clubs. The IFA, what is the IFA or the GFA made up of?
GFA में, exactly.
Yep. There's a question from Igor Stivacha. It's a Q&A session. We're bringing in a lot of topics together. So, Steve March attending events, other events, and not the ISL during his time in India. Thoughts on this, you guys? Hiren?
I think priority are straightforward from him. So that's what I said. His priority is absolutely clear.
You need to know who's organizing the event, and then you know why he's there.
Why is there? Exactly. वो फोटो में ही वैसे तो पता चल जाएगा. Organization की जरूरत नहीं.
So to me is again, who's going to question in the AFF the Indian national team coach if look at the situation of Indian football? Simple.
Yep. But you guys think he's doing enough behind the scenes apart from his on-field work and on-field tactics and all of that? Do you think he's doing enough? As in, do we know whether he's actually actively looking at videotapes or watching games, analyzing things? I mean, I don't know. I'm putting the question to you guys. I'm sure we can't have
you can answer the question yourself, Rahul. I think Hiren and I laughing, I think, gives you the answer. You are in the difficult position of having to ask that question, but you know yourself what the situation is, and I think.
But I think. Yeah, he invented I think very you can say new terms in to be honest in footballing coaching manual. If you say coach can work from home, that's the new way of you can say footballing coaching, and that's the interesting one to be honest. I think the study should be made how you can run a club, coach any football club from the home. I think this pandemic, lot of jobs have been you can say shifted to work from home, but I think the footballing coaching to work from home, I think that's a very interesting thing, and I think he's doing quite successfully to be honest in last 5 years now, and I think that's the one thing I think everyone should you can say learn from him. But I don't know, मतलब I think Rahul जो तुमने पूछा है, I think everyone knows the answer. I think fans also knows the answer. But sad part is AFF जैसे सर ने बोला कि वो will question that. No one, because everyone is involved for their own agenda. Everyone is looking to how to someone looking how I will be president, someone looking how I will be exco member, someone looking how I can be this committee member. Everyone is looking their own things. They don't think about the Indian football. So that is the biggest issue, and till the time that will be not solved, I don't think so we are going anywhere.
There's a question from Sonu saying whether changing the coach will change. I mean, will develop Indian football. Probably not, but you've still got to get the best out of the players that you have. And if your coach isn't doing that at the moment, then it's probably time for change. And yeah, 6 to 7
नहीं, उसका
months.
उसका नहीं, उसका
Huh.
अगर सामने क्वेश्चन है तो अभी रख के भी क्या है, रख के भी तो कुछ हुआ नहीं है ना,
Yeah, yeah,
अभी तो है, तो अभी अभी क्या हो गया, अभी तो कुछ हमने हासिल नहीं कर लिया है, सो चेंज करने में क्या दिक्कत है आपको?
yeah. And saying players play under ISL coach for 6 to 7 months. Normal in any football league around the world that your players play with clubs for more than 7 months in other countries, and your national team coaches have barely a month or two to work with the players. And I mean, fortunately enough, Igor Stimac gets more time than I think most national team coaches do in the bigger European countries or even Asian countries who are playing at a top
Anywhere
level.
in the world, I
Anywhere in
think
the
India
world.
last year.
100 days,
I
100 days
don't
camp.
know. I don't know if any other country around the world had so many games, so many matches, official A matches, and time with the national team as our head coach. Period.
Yeah.
Right. And I go back, Rahul, you and I were speaking about it last year in June, July. Use the time to prepare for the Asian Cup or for the World Cup qualifiers. You've not done it. You've not trained your B, your C team. And that is my concern on all of this. And it has been, and it is, and it will be. Because India can only improve if the right things, if the players are also given a chance. You know, we've got players who are getting chances at club. There are certain players who are suddenly benched. You know, take the example of Mumbai City. Bipin is no longer playing. Vikram Pratap is playing. He did get a chance, but you saw in the game against Australia, he came in, got a yellow card. He was just too eager to prove something.
Yeah.
So that means that the coaching staff have not really worked him and said, "Bhai, dekh we need your energy levels. You need that. The boy has energy levels, and but he needs to control himself." You see, at the moment, Mehtab Singh is struggling at Mumbai City because Valpuya is playing exceptionally well in that club, be it as a centre back or as right or even left back. You know, so there are players who are breaking through. The question is, how long can they sustain itself? How long can they preserve their form? You know, I would have said over the last 1.5 years, Changte is our best player. But at the moment, Changte is not showing, you know, that level of football that I would hope he can play. So we come back to the factor of consistency. And someone asked the question in regard to strikers. Somehow or the other, we'll have to find a solution. If players are not playing, again, maybe Vikram Pratap is our best bet at the moment of having someone to play as a number 9. He was junior captain. He was striker in the past. Maybe he's our best bet. And he'll most probably play on the wings in the ISL. But that boy is, if you see the way he played yesterday, that's the fighting spirit and the passion I want to see in an Indian footballer.
Yeah.
But sir एक नहीं राहुल, एक क्वेश्चन जो स्ट्राइकर का निकल के आ रहा है, सिंपल सी बात है, ईगो स्टिमेच ने जो बोला कि आईएसएल से स्ट्राइकर मिलना चाहिए, आइडियल कंडीशन वही होती है किसी भी कंट्री में कि आपकी लीग से आपको बेटर प्लेयर मिलते हैं, आपकी नेशनल टीम वैसा बनती है। बट इंडिया में अगर आप करंटली देखें तो ऐसा सिचुएशन नहीं है, आपके आईएसएल क्लब्स में स्ट्राइकर फॉरेनर्स ही खेलते हैं, दैट इज द रियलिटी। तो एक बात है कि एक आइडियल चीज क्या होनी चाहिए जो कि मे भी आगे हो सकती है। अभी आपके पास क्या है, आपके पास ये है कि आपको नेशनल टीम में ही चांसेस देके आपको कोई स्ट्राइकर सुनील छेत्री के अलावा ढूंढना पड़ेगा। तो ईगो स्टिमिच ने अपने पिछले 5 साल में 49 मैचेस में 42 टाइम्स सुनील छेत्री को स्टार्ट करवाया है। हाउ कैन यू नाउ फाइंड अ स्ट्राइकर? आप दूसरे के ऊपर बोल रहे हो कि स्ट्राइकर नहीं मिल रहा है, वो एक सिचुएशन, आपको जो सिचुएशन दी गई है उसके ऊपर तो आपको काम करना ही पड़ेगा ना। आप हर वक्त ये तो नहीं बोल सकते कि भाई ऐसा दो तभी हो। तो खुद आपने यहाँ पे सुनील छेत्री, अगर अफगानिस्तान, बांग्लादेश, नेपाल भी खेल रहे हैं तब भी आपको सुनील छेत्री, पाकिस्तान के सामने भी सुनील छेत्री स्टार्ट कर रहा है। अब बाकी अगर स्ट्राइकर को मौका ही नहीं दोगे तो कैसे आपको दूसरा स्ट्राइकर आपके वहां पे रेडी होगा? एंड सर ने बिल्कुल सही बोला कि व्हाई वी फेल्ड एट दी एफसी एशियन कप, क्योंकि आपकी बी टीम ही नहीं थी। आपके 11 प्लेयर भी आई वुड नॉट से कि उस तरह से रेडी थे। यू हैव मेड ओनली 7-8 प्लेयर का 6-7 प्लेयर का कोर ग्रुप, उसमें से 2-3 इंजर हो गए तो आपकी बात खत्म हो गई कि भाई मेरे प्लेयर तो अब इंजर्ड हो गए, अब कुछ नहीं हो सकता। आपको आपकी प्लानिंग ही क्या थी? दैट्स द बिगेस्ट क्वेश्चन फ्रॉम द
And
कोच साइड।
and 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 there's another reality, Hiren, is that those people who are saying you should look at the I League. Certain players are even saying look at railways or services or whatever. Guys, that is not the level to play international football. Sorry. I mean, seriously, what are you talking about? Then you don't understand anything about international football. And these people are stakeholders of Indian football. They association and have opinions and don't know their shit. That's the real problem in Indian football. Biggest problem. If you don't know anything, just keep your mouth shut. That's always what I say. If I don't know something, don't say anything. You don't have to be part of a conversation for the sake of having to be part of a conversation. And the thing is, if you don't have a striker, you have boys who have played striker at some stage of their career. You'll then have to use them as a central striker. You know?
Yeah.
And Lalrin Zuala is not to me a replacement. 9 goals in the I League is no qualification to play in the and David and Mohammed, and these are not guys who want to go and play in the national team. Let them come into the ISL and prove themselves. Vidya Sagar, for me, the best example, top scorer in the I League. What has he done in the last 3 years in the I League, in the ISL, or 2.5 years in the ISL? Be it at BFC, be it at Blasters. It is not so easy. But you have players like Manveer, you have players like Vikram, Ishan Pandita. You'll have to use, but you have to give them time, especially Ishan Pandita needs time. The other day he's come on for Kerala Blasters starting, you realize he's had limited match time. Again, in Goa, he came in, he was on a roll. He came on as a substitute, he used to score goals. But once that confidence goes, that I can score these goals on a regular basis, you have to rebuild that confidence. The player needs that boost. But if I have Diamantakos and if I have Chernik in front of me, I will be number 3. I will not be number 1. So even an Ishan Pandita has to think in the long term, do I want to be an out-and-out striker, or do I actually, like all the others have done in the last 2-3 years, become a winger?
तुषार भाई, आपकी आई थिंक मिस्टेक हो रही
If I
है।
want to, if I
लास्ट
want
2
game time.
सीजन से आपका आईएसएल ही टॉप टियर लीग है भाई। आप शायद उसके पहले की बात करो। लास्ट 2 सीजन से भाई आईएसएल इज दी योर टॉप टियर लीग, and there is a clear difference between ISL and I League quality. And
Yeah.
after this, you can say
There's a
fixing
huge, and
allegation.
it's growing, and
Yeah.
it's growing year by year.
Year
I wouldn't
exactly.
say
अगर
2,
आप
3
5
years. I
साल
mean,
पहले
yeah.
हाँ 5 साल पहले बोलते तो फिर भी हम बोल सकते थे कि चलो भाई आईएसएल अगर 100% है तो मे बी आई लीग 80 90 80%, but now this difference is 50% भाई मेरे हिसाब से। and this is growing because this all of this shit happening around this fixing, and आई लीग में भी ये सारे एलिगेशन है, ऐसा नहीं है कि नहीं है। and there are a lot of things जो आई लीग में भी प्रोफेशनली मैनेज नहीं की जा रही, so that's also degrading. No, I am saying ISL not a Premier League or La Liga, बट तुषार भाई ला लीगा नहीं है, बट इंडिया में तो वो टॉप टियर है ना जो कॉम्पिटिटिवनेस वाइज। चाहे आईएसएल की कॉम्पिटिटिवनेस जितनी भी है 50% भी है, तो आई लीग की तो आपकी 20% ही है, तो वो जो 30% का गैप है उस बेसिस पे, और इंटरनेशनल की कॉम्पिटिटिवनेस है आपकी 100%, तो आप 20% कॉम्पिटिटिवनेस लीग वाले प्लेयर को आप सीधा ही 100% में डालोगे तो क्या होगा? तो वाली चीज है ना भाई। एंड एक दूसरा सर मेरे को समझ नहीं आता कि व्हाट इज दिस ऑब्सेशन अबाउट दिस स्टेट oriented tournament. I am seeing this promotion of this Santosh Trophy is too much. There are lots of, you can see कि some of the, जैसे आपने बोला कि प्लेयर को रेलवेज में और इस सब से सिलेक्ट करना चाहिए, lots of people are saying these things. So what is this obsession? I understand कि पहले सारी चीजें थी, पहले इंडियन फुटबॉल में ऐसे वर्क करता था, सारी चीजें थी, but now football is changed. You need to change with the, you can say, key time. You can't hold up
there
on
are
okay,
people,
this is our part of history and everything.
The problem is that the state association still run the AFF, na? That is your problem.
That's the biggest problem.
The professional clubs don't run the AFF. Around the world, state associations are part of the FAs, but the professional league and the professional clubs are part of the national body and have a say in the decision making. Huh? So therefore, it is That is the biggest challenge. But will the state associations themselves say, you know what, we will give up power and let's say 30% of reservation in the body will go to the clubs? The whole sports code thing is the biggest problem in Indian sports, because you're saying I'll give representation to the athletes. And we see what athletes are doing for Indian sports in governance.
Yep.
But sir, I don't understand when they made this sport code in 2011, whatever the thing in parliament, and I think जब वो बिल लेके आए तब उन्होंने डेफिनेटली बाकी कंट्रीज का तो यहाँ पे क्या बोलते कि रीड किया होगा ना कि बाकी जगह पे किस तरह से होता है स्पोर्ट में.
There are no sports codes. Who has an Indian style sports code? Tell me one country which has an Indian style sports code.
नहीं पूरा कोड नहीं होगा, बट कोई जैसे फुटबॉल का किसी में स्ट्रक्चर होगा.
नहीं है. This sports code thingy is an Indian creation.
नहीं वो इंडियन क्रिएशन हो सकता है, बट
no, but it is an Indian creation. No, there's nowhere else in the world. Because in the around the world it goes about merit, about qualification, also about knowledge. This is a quota system, na, for ex-players. We discussed the other day the technical committee.
आज मैं फिर से देख रहा था टेक्निकल कमेटी और वो सब में देख रहा था, और कुछ स्टेट एफएस का भी स्ट्रक्चर देख रहा था. तो अभी जो हॉकी में इश्यू आया है, और मैं दिल्ली एफए का स्ट्रक्चर देख रहा था, वही बंदा है वहां पे. वो जो मतलब हॉकी का भी अभी हॉकी की जो हमारी वुमेन्स टीम की कोच है, उन्होंने बोला कि मेरे को यहाँ पे क्या बोलते कि क्लियरली फेवर नहीं किया जाता और मेंस के ऊपर सारा फोकस किया जा रहा है, और जिस तरह की कंडीशन है आई थिंक इट्स अनबेरेबल कंडीशन, एंड बहुत सारी चीजें थी. सो वही सेम बंदा भी फुटबॉल में भी आपका जनरल सेक्रेटरी, सॉरी आपका वाइस प्रेसिडेंट है दिल्ली एफए का, वही आपका हॉकी में इंडिया में आई थिंक जनरल सेक्रेटरी की पोस्ट है. सो सेम पीपल हैव, यू कैन से कि सभी गेम का उसको नॉलेज है. ही इज रनिंग एवरी स्पोर्ट.
But again, that's part of the problem, right? Who's running sports and how are they running sports? And it has to be openly said. That again, a lot of people are shouting, are you part? I always say, are you part of the solution or are you part of the problem? Very simple. Yeah. And a lot of people are sadly part of the problem and not part of the solution. And again, if people are surprised, Joshua is writing every day bad news about Indian football. Listen, this is not new. If anyone thinks this what has come out today is new, this has been there. It's been discussed. I have seen this happening for donkey's years.
Right? But sir, वो तो सर क्लियर सी चीज है ना. अगर ये सारी चीजें पहले नहीं होती तो पहले हम इम्प्रूव कर गए होते. अगर 70 सालों में कुछ इम्प्रूव नहीं हुआ है, तो ये सारी चीजें चल रही है इसीलिए नहीं हुआ है ना. नहीं तो ये पहले भी किसी को तो ख्याल, अभी जैसे हम बात कर रहे कि सारी चीजें होनी चाहिए, स्ट्रक्चर वक्चर, पहले भी सभी को पता था कि ऐसी चीजें तो होनी चाहिए. ऐसा तो नहीं है कि अभी नई चीजें आई कि फुटबॉल में आपको यूथ लीग करानी चाहिए, ये करानी चाहिए. ये तो पहले से ही चल रहा है, बट क्योंकि सिस्टम ही आपका पहले से वैसा है तो क्या कोई चेंजेस ही नहीं आया है. सो फिर तो ये ऐसे ही चलते रहना है. दैट्स व्हाई 70 इयर्स में आप यहाँ पे डिक्लाइन पे ही चले जा रहे हो. यू डिडंट मेक यू कैन से कि अपवर्ड डायरेक्शन में कोई यहाँ पे मूव किया है.
Yep. Anirudh Singh is also asking about why Indian players aren't playing in foreign leagues, not even the lower ranked countries. Quality, of course, and Anava, I think you've also mentioned that salaries are way too high in the ISL for the quality that.
Not even ISL. Forget ISL. Even in the I League or even in the top local leagues, the salaries for the standard of football that these players dish out, it's too high. An Indian national team player, if he would come to Germany, would become an amateur and he would get so much money that he would not be able to survive. That's the level of our football. Let's be honest about that, right?
Yeah.
And that's we are signing players from Europe who are semi-pro or sometimes even amateur, right? They earn in 1 month of the ISL more than they earn the whole year in their respective countries. Our system is so overheated in regard to payments that it's not working.
Yeah.
And Travel Bhai Som Kumar, yes, is playing, but he's playing under 19. So he's therefore, I think let him. He's done it right. Let him become a pro over there, and then he can come back and play. Don't bother about him. Let him do what he's doing. He's doing. I feel he's doing it right. He's in Slovenia. Let him play in the under-19 league. Let him become pro, and then he can come and join the system. Again, he is one of those. He'll be one of the next ones who, when he becomes a senior, ISL clubs will try to poach. Right?
Yeah.
Right? If he's there, let him stay in Europe. But he's not a national team material.
I think जो पेड्रो बेलानी ने 2-3 दिन पहले बात की है पार्थिव गोगोई के रिगार्डिंग, I think that's perfectly fitted on all the Indian youngster, and I think फैंस को ये काफी ज्यादा मैंने देखा है कि इंडियन फैंस जैसे ही कोई यंगस्टर यहाँ पे 17, 18, 19, 20 साल का 2-3 मैच में कुछ अच्छा करता है या फिर कोई सी भी यूरोपियन कोई भी लीग में यहाँ पे कुछ भी खेल रहा है, they straight them want into the, you can say, national team. That's not how things work यार. उसने भी जो बोला कि भाई आप लोगों ने
मोहन बागान फैंस Dipendu Biswas, the defender, did well, but he conceded the penalty against Northeast. Directly, the people were giving RAR. He's not ready yet. Give him time. He has talent. But the other problem that a lot of these names are being mentioned, and we want them to play international football. I don't know if you guys have seen this in the recent past. They all seem to be shorter in height than they used to be. The earlier generation, our players were growing. It seems to me now we're back to about 5'7", 5'8", or maybe 5'10", right? Where elsewhere in the world, if you see everyone is going like 6'2", 6'4", the next crop of players are all, no disrespect, guys, but they seem to be all a little, a little shorter. A lot of these boys that we're discussing, Isaac Ralte is not tall. Sanan, again, very skillful players. Are they physically strong enough to do it? And I go back to the Asian Cup example. Mahesh Naurem, one of the most talented footballers of the current crop. Technically, very gifted. But you saw in some of the matches against Australia or against Syria or against Uzbekistan, they were physically outmuscled. What is going to do Mahesh Naurem going to do against a Harry Suter? He'll run in Harry Suter and he's going to lie down on the ground and hoping that he'll get oxygen. Because that Harry Suter is like a wall. And Dinesh, it's not about you about being 5'8". I'm also 5'7", so it doesn't matter. We don't have to play for the national team, right? It is for those who have to play. You have to have a certain height. You have to have a certain build. Bob Houghton used to say that always. He said, I can't take a player who's 5'7", 5'8". How is he going to compete at that level? And sadly, that's also a topic. Japan, the players are much technically better. The Japanese boys are tactically amongst the best educated boys I know. And they do have tall players nowadays. But if I look at a Kubo, if I look at a Mitoma, and then I look at a Mahesh, spot the difference.
नहीं सर, उसमें एक चीज है कि अगर आप कोई सी भी चीज में यहाँ पे क्या बोलते कि टॉप हो, तो फिर वो क्या बोलते कि आपकी जो दूसरे फैक्टर है वो ज्यादा मैटर नहीं करेंगे, फिर आप सक्सेसफुल मतलब आप हो सकते हो. बट आप सभी जगह पे मीडियोकर हो, आपकी टेक्निकलिटी वाइज भी आप मीडियोकर हो, आप हाइट में भी मीडियोकर रहना चाहते हो, देन यू कांट फिजिकलिटी वाइज भी अगर आप मीडियोकर हो, देन यू कांट एक्सपेक्ट कि आप वहां पे परफॉर्म कर पाओगे. तो हमारे जो सारे प्लेयर है टेक्निकली नो डाउट दे आर साउंड, बट ये नहीं बोल सकते कि जैसे आपने बोला मिटोमा क्यूबो है, दे आर टेक्निकली दे आर यू कैन से कि वो हैरी सूतर को भी क्या बोलते कि नट में करके लेके जा सकते हैं, हमारे प्लेयर नहीं कर सकते वो. तो उतना लेवल की टेक्निकलिटी नहीं है ना आपके प्लेयर.
Kubo at youth level played 5 years at La Masia. Was the youngest ever player in J League at 15. He's 1'73", and then signed from FC Tokyo. He went to Real Madrid, and now he's he's had some loan spells. Now he's at Real Sociedad. That's a different level. Or Bayern Munich has signed a very talented player from Granada called Brian Zaragoza. Not related to your BFC manager. The guy is 1'64". He came on yesterday as a sub. Bayern lost yesterday, but you directly see the trickery, and he's got he has that will to fight it. That's the other thing. And for me, the good example is Chante. that he has physically manned up to be able to play stronger opposition, be it in the ISL or be it Champions League or be it Asian Cup.
एक के चरण भाई, फिर तो आप अफगानिस्तान के सामने वेट कर रहे हो, तो और भी ज्यादा वो तो आईएसएल से भी बदतर है, सो यू विल बी गोइंग टू दी, फिर तो आप पूरा इंडियन फुटबॉल ही छोड़ दोगे, आई थिंक दैट विल बी द सिचुएशन.
Yeah. You've got some foreigners in the ISL to work with. Of course, they make the quality better as well. So Hiren's right.
Yes, I think mindset is against strength and.
No, I'm not saying height is the only thing, but it's a combination of those factors. Now, if your height is short, then your strength and your technique has to be better than the others. Exactly, Arnav Baxi, perfectly said about Gavi and Pedri. Lionel Messi, best example. Lionel Messi or Maradona, they were not tall, but they had other capabilities and to try and take on players. And Ayush Chikara being mentioned by Harshit, yes, could be, but the point is the boy needs to get that game time. Luckily at Mumbai City, he got that game time in the Super Cup, right? So for him, I remember before the Asian Cup, because he scored his first goal, everyone's talking about Gurkirat. To me, Gurkirat, yes, has played at youth level for India, but is Gurkirat ready to play for the national team? Again, I would love to see him. That's not the point, but he has to be ready for that. We see Vikram. Vikram has needed 2-3 years to settle down at Mumbai City. He came in when Bipin and Changte, especially Bipin, was in his prime. And again, to say Manvir has height but no fight mindset is also too easy, right? Because against Kuwait, Manvir did score a very, very smart goal, right? So it's also easy, but the point is, it's something that we need to be aware of these things. Those people who are doing scouting, what is the biggest mistakes anywhere in the world that scouts do? I look at what the kid is able to do at this stage, with that age. What is the trajectory of that kid? Can he be a professional at 18, 20 or 22?
Yeah.
And it's not an Indian, it's a general problem. I need to see something special in a kid. Otherwise, Lionel Messi would have never been scouted in Rosario. Right? Because what? Lionel Messi was the weakest kid. He was deficiencies. They pumped him up. They injections karke, they made him something at least. We need to look at and see what we can do. But the point is also for the club coaches and also for the national team coach at the end of the day. You are very often working with the finished product. Good example is Kerala Blasters. Ivan Vukovanovic, if his players were fit, Jackson would be playing, Luna would be playing. It would not be Vibin, Azhar. These kids who are very talented, no doubt about it. And that's the point, right? Yes, the Saudi kid who has played is again, but he's perceived in Saudi Arabia as one of the biggest challenge. Mancini saw something in him.
But उसके लिए सर देखना तो पड़ता है.
Yeah. That's a yeah.
I think I was just saying there are a lot of examples of players who have done very well. Of course, the technical ability and what else they bring to the team is incredible. That this physical aspect of the game is overlooked, and then you sort of say.
But
one question, one point, very important to me. When if you are physically deficient in the sense of I don't have height, I don't have the physical build. Your technical ability has to be better. Your tactical awareness needs to be better, and you've had X number of matches. They always say you have to have trained 10,000 hours before you leave the youth system. Tell me, which Indian player has trained 10,000 hours at youth system, who has learned the basics. I was talking earlier today to a friend of our show who's gone to India, who stays abroad, who's gone to India, and he was watching a match over the weekend, and he said, you know what? Because he said, Dada, I now understand why you always say don't just watch a match on television, watch the 90 minutes, you'll see a lot of things on the ground. And he, as a fan, told me all the efficiencies he saw in his favorite team of the players, which you will not see on television. That's the other thing. Watching football on television, and it doesn't matter if it's Indian football or it's European football, Premier League or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, I know we're talking about technical players, good players. You mentioned quite a few players so far in this podcast. Because we're also doing a sort of just a Q&A, I thought I'll ask you guys. It's a question that I've never asked. Got the chance to ask you guys. Your favorite footballers of current footballers, or favorite footballers of all time. Hiren, just want to start with you, and then we'll go down.
Indian या फिर outside Indian?
Let's just keep it general football outside. I think Indian football तो pretty much obvious almost हो जाएगा तो हाँ.
As in football मैंने मतलब जो देखना स्टार्ट किया वो after the I think Lionel Messi and that 2010 Spain team in FIFA World Cup. I think वहां से मतलब क्या बोलते कि एक रेगुलर, उससे पहले अगर आपने कभी कभार देख लिया वैसी वाली चीज थी, आपकी पता होता है ऐसा वो वाली रेगुलर नहीं. एंड करंट अगर आप देखिए प्लेयर तो मेरा ऑल टाइम इज लियोनेल मेसी इज माय फेवरेट, बट करंट में आई लाइक टू वॉच पेड्री. पेड्री इज माय फेवरेट प्लेयर.
I know you can't look past Messi, and of course Pedri is probably a generational talent now. Yeah, no. Favorite players of all time and current favorite
पेड्री बिकॉज मेरे को मतलब जो इनिएस्टा और इस तरह के जो जैसे अभी क्रूज के बारे में जो बोला था, आई थिंक दिस काइंड ऑफ प्लेयर आर कि जो आपको मतलब ऐसे नहीं दिखेगा कि लोगों ने ज्यादा मेहनत की या फिर कोई ऐसा एकदम से कोई ऐसा स्किल सेट दिखा दिया, बट देयर वैल्यू इज इनवैल्यूएबल टू बी ऑनेस्ट. जस्ट लाइक गुंडवान, आई थिंक गुंडवान इज वन ऑफ द प्लेयर जिसके बारे में अगर आप मैनचेस्टर सिटी की बात करोगे पिछले 3-4-5 साल की सक्सेस में, तो केविन डी ब्रुयना एंड उन सब की ज्यादा बात होती है. But I think जो इकियार गुंडवान का जो रोल था, I think you can't compare with them. So I think this kind of player I like to मतलब मजा आता है मेरे को कि जो मतलब बिना effort दिखाए they are effortless. So that's the thing.
So yeah no.
See, if you ask me of all times, as I had the pleasure of having met him a few times and interacted with him, I would say Franz Beckenbauer, certainly, you know.
Okay.
Way
beyond
he had a certain.
Fortunately,
I didn't see him play, but you know, if you see the old footages and all, he had a style of playing. You know, those guys like him, Pele, Cruyff. The game was different, right? Beckenbauer jokingly used to say, I think again, even 20 years ago, he said, "Listen, we used to play walking football, even though walking football at the time didn't exist, right?" To me is certainly the best that I have seen, and again, having known him as well, what a gentleman he was. Of the current generation, even again, I knew him as a kid at Bayern, Toni Kroos. You know, I met him when he was 16, 17, and he's still playing. And I think you've mentioned Gundogan. I think a lot of these midfield boys who are more at organizing and controlling the game, you know, we will always talk about Messi, but you will not talk about, let's say, Xavi or an Iniesta, who are as important, if not even more important, to the system of Barca. So that, that is that. And if you ask me on an Indian level, the best Indian footballer that I have seen football-wise, I'm Vijan.
Okay.
Viju Bhai is certainly... Again, if he was a Brazilian or an Argentinian, most probably would have been a world star with the technical abilities that he had. Current generation, it would most probably be amongst Changte and Apuya.
Yeah.
You know, those would be sort of my favorites. Again, overall, yeah. So that they don't get angry, I have to mention Baichung, I have to mention Renedy, I have to mention Sneal as well. You know, all of them had good way of a certain level of standard, and but again at the international level, yeah, I would say those, or you know, if I don't say Beckenbauer, most probably would be Johan Cruyff. I think sometimes I feel that the players on the European continent don't they get as much credit as they should get, right? There's this sort of fascination about players from the south in that way, especially Brazilians and Argentinians or Spaniards or whatever. But I think Johan Cruyff is one of those who has revolutionized football, and he's one of uh, uh, um, you know. He was not only a good footballer, but he was a very, very important football brain. I think Barcelona, the way they play today, would not have happened if. And it's a very funny story. It's actually that he copied something which used to be used in hockey. And Horst Wein, good old friend, the late Horst Wein, good old friend of mine, who of course coached Germany to in the Olympics and then set up Spanish hockey. So therefore, those are the sort of characters where I say it's not just the influence as a player, but I think overall in regard to football. Cruyff and Beckenbauer, I think, are the two anomalies in the long run. I think, in regard to Cruyff was the genius on the field, but I think he was an even bigger genius as a coach, as someone who sort of changed the way football is played. And Beckenbauer, again, I jokingly used to say that, whatever Beckenbauer touches turns into gold.
Yeah.
That is something that he's won the World Cup as a player. He's won the World Cup as a coach. He 2006 in Germany would have not happened without him. Those are sort of the legends that have been sort of in the game.
Yeah.
I think मैं एक चीज मेंशन करना चाहूंगा उसमें कि योहान क्राइफ की जो बायोग्राफी है, आई थिंक अगर आप फुटबॉल देखते हो तो डेफिनेटली पढ़नी चाहिए. एंड आई थिंक उसकी जो स्टोरी है, देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग की जो आपको उससे पर्सपेक्टिव मिलेगा कि किस तरह से फुटबॉल में उन्होंने स्टार्ट किया. और सही बात बोली सर ने कि जनरली ये मतलब ह्यूमन नेचर होता है कि जो मतलब साउथ अमेरिकन इसीलिए ज्यादा लगता है कि वहां पे जो प्लेयर है वो क्या बोलते हैं हार्ड कंडीशन से निकल के आए हैं, दे मेक इट टू द गेम. सो दैट्स ऑलवेज अ फैसिनेशन फॉर द फैंस. बट आई थिंक अगर योहान क्राइफ की पूरी बायोग्राफी आप पढ़ोगे तो एज अ प्लेयर भी किस तरह से उन्होंने मतलब उसकी जो फिलोसॉफी और कहाँ से उन्होंने जो डेवलप किया, जैसे सर ने बोला कि आफ्टर द प्लेयर, तो इस तरह से उन्होंने जो फुटबॉल को रिवोल्यूशनाइज किया ड्यूरिंग द उसका जो प्लेइंग फेज था, वहां पे किस तरह से सारी चीजें हुई. तो दैट वाज इंटरेस्टिंग टू सी. एंड मूसा भाई हमारे साथ प्ले मेकर जुड़े थे, वो बोल रहे थे कि आप इंडियन फुटबॉल के डिस्कशन में आप बाहर के फुटबॉल की बात कर रहे हो. तो हम तो सिर्फ यहाँ पे क्या बोलते हैं कि फुटबॉल की तो बात कर रहे हैं. इंडियन फुटबॉल में तो ऐसे लोग भी है कि जो खुलेआम यहाँ पे फिक्सिंग करते हैं, तो उससे तो बेटर ही है. तो सिर्फ यहाँ पे क्या बोलते हैं कि फुटबॉल की जनरल डिस्कशन कर रहे हैं. तो अगर उसको जनता माफ कर रही है और उसको कुछ नहीं हो रहा है, तो हमें तो जनता माफ ही कर देगी भाई.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to ask you. I wanted to know as well from both of you all because
तुम्हारा नहीं बताया राहुल, तुमने नहीं अपना बताया.
Mera, it's so I started watching football when I was 12, 13 years old, so 10, 11 years back. And I grew up watching Alexis Sanchez and Mesut Ozil. So my favorite footballer is Ozil. I think till date, probably I know there's an Arsenal agenda, there's an Arsenal bias, of course, but till now I have not seen a more talented footballer like on a consistent basis because I watched Arsenal every week. In the Premier League, I just talent-wise, Mesut Ozil was just unbelievable. Some of the things that he could do on the pitch, I just don't know many others who could. And for me, Mesut Ozil. But today, I think Declan Rice, brilliant player. Martin Odegaard, I love again. Couple of just Arsenal players for me. So there's that bias. So yeah.
नहीं वो उसमें बायस की बात नहीं होती भाई, इसीलिए तो आपने फुटबॉल देखना चालू किया होता है कि कोई अगर आपको टीम पसंद आती है, प्लेयर पसंद आता है. That's how you generally most of the people are.
But it's Özil is part of that special, generation of German football again. And I always remember Arsenal Bayern game at the Emirates. I was there for Champions League, and it was quite interesting to see how many players you had. Podolski, you had Mertesacker on the Arsenal side as well. And all those players, and this was before the 2014 World Cup, and that was a special generation. But you know what? To come back to the Indian football example is that Germany did radical changes after the 2000 Euros. That they realized a 40-year-old Lothar Matthäus was still playing for Germany. That is not, the best thing to have, a 40-year-old playing for you. And they changed, they changed quickly, created a system within 2 years. And 2010, you saw the first sort of, examples of a young German national team. In 2014, that team was at its prime and won the World Cup. So coming back to Indian football is that if you take the right steps, in India, it will take longer because our system is not that strong. Again, the German system is strong per se, right? And even now they're facing problems and Germany's trying to change it around. And then you see, okay, listen, they suddenly win the under-17 World Cup. It was doom and gloom in Germany, but they won the under-17 World Cup in Indonesia with a very, very talented squad where, Noah Dervish, as a good example, last season left Freiburg and joined Barca. And a lot of questions asked, why are you going as a 16, 17-year-old to Barcelona? Because he said, listen, I want to play with the best, right? So even though, Freiburg is known to be one of the best academies in European football. And that is what we need to build. We need to recognize these things in Indian football of what kind of changes there need to be to take Indian football, and the thing. And again, Shaggy is mentioning people like Richard Hood. We need people like Richard, Those are the kind of people, talented guys, him, Pradyum Reddy, I'm just naming two. I could name a few more who understand football at youth level, at grassroots level, and take their knowledge. But the point is also with the rise of the rankings and all. Listen, we've played around, and again, to me, the rankings doesn't count. We need to get as many kids as possible in grassroots. Then you need to create the pyramid. We need to create the foundation and create a better generation of footballers. Even those who are playing today at grassroots and youth level are not going to be of the quality that is needed for us to be better in world football. So that's the point, that we need a better system, a better setup. We've got a young generation of coaches. Floyd Pinto is being mentioned. We can talk about a Renedy. We can talk about a Clifford. Samin Naik is at Dempo. Mehraj is there. Ishfaq is there. That generation of players who were there 10, 15 years ago, playing at the Asian Cup. Gaurav Mangi at FC Goa. I mean, Mangis can learn so much, so much from Manolo Marquez, and that is what is needed. But we need the structure, and as long,
but sir,
yeah.
बट सर जब अंडर 17 अंडर 20 की मेंस वुमेन्स टीम की बात आती है तो कोई ऐसा ही चेहरा उठा के आते हैं कि जो मतलब पता ही नहीं है कि यहाँ पे ये क्या बोलते कि उस लेवल की कोचिंग पे है, तो सडनली कोई एक ऐसा इंडियन कोच आ जाता है कि जो मतलब क्या बोलते कि सीवी वाइज आप जैसे बोल रहे कि जो अपकमिंग कोचेस आ रहे हैं, जो भी नाम आपके बोले थे यार, ऑल प्रोमिसिंग कोचेस, तो आई थिंक उसको भी आपको इंटीग्रेट करना पड़ेगा आपकी सिस्टम में.
Yeah, I mean, Ishfaq coached the under 16s and they won the SAF, right? So, but again, he got an offer from Real Kashmir, and again for him, it is as a Kashmiri, the highest playing club from Kashmir for him, and before that, even last season, Mehraj. I think for those guys, it's an honor to coach such a team. So that's also reality. But the point here is that we have those coaches. Yes, I agree with you, Hiren, that we've had some dubious decisions when it comes to coaches. And again, we have to find the budgets to probably try and get foreign guys to coach at that level as well. Because I think the women's team, and if you talk to the women's footballers, a lot of them will tell you that they were very, very happy to have Thomas Dennerby as a head coach. I mean, remember when India lost 1-6 to Brazil? But we were talking about that exceptional goal from Manisha Kalyan. Right. And it was just not India. Suddenly, there was this social media trend. Hey, an Indian girl is scoring a goal. An Indian woman is scoring a goal against Brazil, the mighty Brazil. Right. Yeah. And what happened? Little later, she goes and plays in Cyprus and now is playing in the Cyprus League, which is a good sign. Right.
Yeah.
I think तो सर आपके 8 कोचेस तो है, वो तो आई थिंक अभी अगर आपको, क्योंकि जब तक आपके, मैं नहीं बोला कि इंडियन कोचेस को मौका नहीं मिलना चाहिए, जो ये अपकमिंग आ रहे हैं सारे, उनको यहाँ पे अभी आप नेक्स्ट कपल ऑफ इयर्स के लिए यहाँ पे आप फॉरेन कोच ला सकते हो, उसके साथ उसको एज ए असिस्टेंट कोच रखिए. जैसे आपका महेश गावली, आप देखिए कि उसका पोटेंशियल आपको पता चल गया कि ही कैन बी, यू कैन से कि आपकी एटलीस्ट यहाँ पे काम कर सकते हैं. तो आई थिंक अगर आप देखिए अंडर 17, अंडर 20, अंडर 23 एंड सीनियर मेंस एंड वुमेन्स, अगर ये 4-8 टीम अगर जाके, तो उसमें करंटली आई थिंक यू नीड ए फॉरेन कोच. एंड एक क्या बोलते हैं, एक फिलोसॉफी की भी जरूरत है कि आपके जो अंडर 70 से जो भी आप प्लेयर ला रहे हो, पहले तो टीम ही नहीं है, तो वैसे तो ये हम बात ही कर रहे थे, तो मैं जस्ट बता रहा हूँ, बाकी तो टीम ही नहीं है आपकी, तो कोई फायदा तो है नहीं वैसे। बट आपको नहीं लगता कि ये होना चाहिए इसमें, जैसे आपने बोला कि फॉरेन कोचेस इसमें भी जरूरत है, आपका पैसा वहां पे इन्वेस्ट होना चाहिए रादर देन दिस using this
See,
faltu Santosh
see,
Trophy and
see,
promoting their.
see. Yeah, I agree. The point is, you know, example to me is Thomas Dennerby, who is not only coaching the seniors, but also coaching the under-17 World Cup squad, and he even coached, other teams as well when the need was there. So in the women's game, if you bring in the right coach with the right experience, and maybe also get him the right coaches next to him as assistants, in the women's game, you don't need that many foreign coaches. In the men's game, you do. And that's something which I feel is also these young Indian coaches who then work with these foreign coaches, they also learn. They also get better. And, and Roshan, I agree, they have to be on the same level, on the same page. That's a point anywhere in the world, right? I mean, if a head coach and assistant coach are not, but with the foreign coach, one thing goes out. If you give him the freedom to decide who to pick or not to pick, this bias on regionalism and other things will not be there. Because a foreign coach doesn't care if your player is from Bengal or from Goa, from Kerala, from the Northeast, or from Kashmir or Punjab. He will take whoever he thinks is the best. This bias on picking players happens especially at youth level because you have people involved. Are they doing it on? I'm not even blaming them if they're doing it on purpose. Most probably they aren't. But that thing will be there. So therefore, for me, it works. And I saw that Soumya put out Soumya Mukherjee put out something all about infra and youth. And he puts out a very, very important statement. We need someone at AFF who has proper intention to do something big, good execution knowledge, understanding about world football system. Perfectly said. And that's what I've been saying for a while. That's the only way for us to go forward. And that person needs to be given the power and the support to change things, even if people might say, listen, this might be wrong. But that person needs to be backed so that those changes are made. Again, how will the AFF change itself? That's, for me, the biggest question. How can the clubs be represented in the AFF?
Yep. Yeah, guys. Any other question that you guys want to take before we wrap up? Hiren? I don't know.
I think most of them we have taken. I think कल भी हमारे पास एक दिन है. So.
But Shaggy ka hai. That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Shaggy, the problem is to me is why is the AFF funding the clubs to run I-League, I-League 2, I-League 3, IWL, IWL 2? They might give a grant of figure X, but for the rest, the clubs themselves should be, working to fund it. And if you can't fund it, then don't play that league. Sorry. I mean, might be hard, but we need to get to that reality. We support mediocrity. We are not supporting the thing. This season, I-League, good example. Did it make sense to keep Neroka and Trau in the league? Brutal question. With all the problems that their home state is facing. Is it good? Is it good for teams in the I-League to be playing home matches XYZ? I mean, I made a video this morning about the funding of club football in India and its problems, because Parth Jindal was talking about it yesterday. That Bangalore FC is losing about 30 crores while he's making profits, small profits on the kabaddi and huge profits on the cricket. And someone actually said, listen, get smaller teams to come up from bottom with fan support and all that kind of stuff. Which teams have come up with fan support and have been able to sustain it, even at the I-League? Forget the ISL. The ISL is a totally different beast. Let's talk about the I-League, I-League 2, I-League 3.
Yeah. Just a second. Yeah.
Sorry. I mean, simple question. Which teams are coming up which have a huge fan backing? Does Aizol still have huge fan backing? Right? Former champions. So for me, this is something which we need to be clear about. Who do we want and what's the value to the league? Can the clubs sustain themselves at that level? Can they? What value are they bringing to the ecosystem? That's never discussed. We're criticizing the numbers in the ISL, but in the I League, it's a thing. It's a brutal reality, right? So that's the thing. How strong is our ecosystem? Our ecosystem is not strong. Our ecosystem is weak because it lives off grants at all levels. The AFF doesn't have money, but the AFF is shelling out so that the system keeps running. And Changi Singh reduced the I League. Listen, I say 10, 12 teams most probably is the best thing to run it. And with 4 or 5 crores, the smaller teams in the Northeast can run on that budget. They even try to run it on less, but the bigger teams are running on 15, 20 crores in the I League even these days. Right? Shillong this season is showing a good fan base. They've gone to a smaller stadium. That's why it's looking good. Shillong used to play in the big stadium and that used to be relatively empty. Right? And Ming has been, doing everything he can to keep that club running for so many years since they first qualified for the I League in 2009. So the realities are not nice. And for people to run clubs, I salute everybody who runs a football club, a football team. Because it's not easy in an Indian context. And some of these, to come back to the start of the of our conversation, some of them then, to try and make ends meet, go down the wrong routes to try and, survive. And it's, again, AFF able to attract private companies like BCCI Shaggy. How will that happen in the current scenario? Every week we are discussing, for a while, we are discussing only negative things on Indian football. Not only us, on social media. Because people are now realizing that pipe dreams were being sold 6, 7, 8 months ago to the Indian football fans.
Yep. Unfortunate to see it as it is, and I know you said it quite plainly, but yeah, it is what it is. And again, want to thank everyone for joining us today from the chat. Anava and Hiren, like always. Please do like and share these videos, guys. Subscribe to the channels SportsKhabri, Curious Harry, and Arun Foot. We'll be back. Good night.
Good night,
Good
guys.
night.